so many thoughts with HubSpot. So much has happened with you.
Mm.
HubSpot just bought your newsletter, audience of 150,000 subscribers after you created it 17 months ago. I feel like
Yeah.
so many large B2B companies right now are leaning into creating these full media ecosystems through creating newsletters, creating podcasts, creator collabs. You're seeing this right now from all sides. You're inside HubSpot, you're in the creator scene. I would love to know your thoughts on what's driving these B2B companies to become more of these media ecosystems, and also what you're seeing work best here.
Yeah, 100%. It's such an exciting time, and I think being at HubSpot and seeing their strategy around this is like so eye-opening because they really are the trendsetters. HubSpot have been the kings of inbound marketing for so long, and then with like AI affecting search and a lot of traffic going down, the question is, how do you go out and find that interest, and how do you go and find that top of funnel to eventually convert to customers down the line? And what HubSpot did in 2021 when they bought The Hustle, they'd seen like huge success advertising in The Hustle. For anyone who doesn't know, it's like a business and tech newsletter. They found loads of success advertising it, offering lead magnets to get leads for their SaaS product. So then eventually when they acquired it, they had just like so much success with this new model, putting a media company on the side of a SaaS company and using it as a way to generate leads for the company. And from my perspective as a media company owner, working with HubSpot now being owned by HubSpot gives us so much freedom to go out and create content. If you put like Mindstream up against a competitor AI newsletter, that competitor has to think about like the lifetime value of their readers. You get them in, and then traditionally you're going to monetize by selling sponsorships on that newsletter. But to increase the LTV, you have to launch like all these horizontal products. So a lot of them are launching like AI universities right now, which are great, and I think it's a brilliant idea. However, we at Mindstream, working with HubSpot, all our goal to do is to make the space for people to come and learn about AI and how it's going to impact their business. So we can just make that product so good without compromising, without paywalling everything. And then as long as people are coming to us, they're trusting us, therefore on extension trusting HubSpot, and potentially going to use that software down in the future. That's the goal. So we have so much more freedom to go and make an amazing product.
Yeah, I just love it. I am a big believer right now that BD marketing is going towards education and maybe even a little bit of entertainment first,
Mhm.
and going out there and serving the audience and creating just a great experience for the viewer. And then in turn, you build that trust, you build that like magnetic community, which then goes into, more client acquisition, more ROI. I think in the past, B2B was a little bit more just like paid marketing, like you pay and it get what works. But I think now we are so used to like such entertaining content online. Like TikTok's entertaining. We're learning things left and right. We're learning so many things on Instagram. And to have this B2B, which is sometimes a little bit more slower moving, a little bit more traditional, start to just be like, you know what? Let's take a playbook. Let's take the play-by-play out of B2C and create just like good stuff for these audiences. I think that's like what's really working. It's cool to see it from the outside of like what HubSpot's doing. Obviously, you're totally right. HubSpot's leading the way here. I would love to know, like you, like I said, are on both sides of the equation right now. And now you have this like look into the gameplay and the ecosystem that HubSpot's building. Tell me a little bit more about like what they're leading into, like what you guys are seeing working, like what do creators and other companies like don't quite understand about the ecosystem that's like really something to kind of lean into more this year?
Mhm. Yeah, I think HubSpot are being incredibly long term with their strategy. Um, if you approached a growing SaaS company who is desperate for customers, desperate for recurring revenue, like 80% of their cost is on like Facebook ads, and you said to them, okay, stop running these ads, or take some of the budget you're using to run these ads and invest in creating like a media brand around your CEO or your founder. Spend time creating content on LinkedIn, make a newsletter, make a podcast, make a YouTube series. and people will start watching that. They'll start trusting you. And in 1 or 2 years, they might become a customer. Like that just doesn't really make sense when you're thinking of like scrappy startup, need to get revenue like straight away. But the companies who are doing this get such a huge compounding effect 2, 3, 4 years down the line. And you look at HubSpot acquiring The Hustle in 2021, in 2021, HubSpot Media Network was born, and now it is a huge media platform that has so many huge podcasts, newsletters, YouTube channels, like these own media strategies, and then they partner with hundreds, maybe thousands of creators on top of that to make amazing content and then capture leads through powerful lead magnets. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've even partnered with HubSpot to promote some of their assets. So it's such a widespread, and the B2B audience who are uh, growth minded person, salesperson at like a fast moving startup SMB, they are just getting so much value from HubSpot everywhere they go with amazing content, with all of HubSpot's creators and all of the external creators. When they come to assess which software they're going to use, the first thing that they're going to think about is HubSpot.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love how you touched on how they're working with so many people across the industry.
Mm.
I love the quote of like the best partnership for a company is your power user with an audience. Like
Mhm.
that is like the person I think every company right now, because I'm a big believer right now that every B2B company is looking towards doing, creator partnerships, like as they
Mhm.
should. These creators are the ones that have these trusted audiences. Why not go out and
Mhm.
partner with them? And the best person right now to go on partner with is someone that's like your perfect ideal customer with an
Yeah,
audience. I think that is like, and being able to partner with HubSpot, I think their gameplay on the media ecosystem is just 100%. If any company wants to know like how to do this in 2025, like just go study. Like someone should do one of those LinkedIn posts where they like do the whole breakdown of like HubSpot's entire media
yeah,
ecosystem and how they leverage it out.
yeah,
Big believer in that. I would love to hear, like, obviously HubSpot is huge, like a huge, massive company. It's cool to like learn from a company that's so established, has this amazing media ecosystem. But I would love to hear your thoughts on if you were a company, a SaaS company starting today, everyone's like, build these trusted audiences, build up your community. Well, yeah, like we're all hearing that. Like what's the nitty gritty? Like what's the timeline? Like what's the exact playbook that you would recommend that these more startup SaaS companies do, learning from something like HubSpot, but like actually actionable to go out and build today?
for sure. One strategy that I think is very, very powerful when you start is build in public. There's like loads of great examples of people doing this on X. My favorite newsletter out there is Tyler Denk's Big Desk Energy. For anyone who doesn't know, Tyler Denk is the founder of Beehive, and he puts this Beehive is like a newsletter platform, and he decided to create his own newsletter. So he became the user of his own platform and was testing everything out. And that newsletter is just so incredibly raw. He doesn't hold back at all. He goes out, he throws punches, he tells the truth, and it makes me connect with him as a founder so much, and makes me like a power user of Beehive. And um, he he is growing an incredibly fast moving startup that's innovating faster than anyone else in the space. Yet he, as the CEO and founder, is taking time to build this media platform, to build his newsletter, regularly posting on X and LinkedIn and building a follow up there. And he also encourages all of his staff to do the same. Like Beehive employees are so active on LinkedIn and X, and whenever they have like a new announcement, a new launch, they are like everywhere. So anybody who says like, "Oh, I don't have time, I'm too busy like working or whatever," you're just not prioritizing building this top of funnel demand generation. And I I think it's going to hurt you. I think as B2B marketing makes this shift over to content, if you're relying on paid and you're relying on all these advertising, it's going to become harder and harder and harder as that becomes more and more difficult and more people are innovating.
Yeah, I love it. I think you touched on two amazing things right there. Number one is like founder led content. I don't think there's any better way to leverage your time as a founder, because founders have zero time. There's no
Yep.
better way to leverage your time than creating content. It's your marketing, it's your sales, it's your customer relations, it's your product announcements, it's literally everything. You can only have X amount of meetings in a day, but a post can reach millions. Like it's like going out there and building that content and building that like dialogue that's like this daily dialogue with your customers is the best thing to do. You have like such a close pulse on the market. You understand what's going on. You're talking to your customers. Like it's just like a no-brainer. And then on
Mhm.
the other hand, you also touched on something super interesting. I think it's going to be huge this year, employee generated content. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be huge, not just like companies saying, hey, employees, like you should post. Like that's something that we've heard for a long time now. Like, and it's kind of been unsuccessful when it's like top down, like everyone posts. Like it works at these like smaller companies, but I think the biggest opportunity right now is the employees themselves being like, oh, wait, like I can start posting content. So people in the industry start learning from me. People that potentially want to hire me find me better. My managers are like, wow, this person's like actually really valuable. They have an audience. They're actually becoming like a mouthpiece for our company. And then now these people can start even doing like collabs with like other companies and even
Yeah.
earn like another like income stream on the side. Like I think this employee generated content for so long was pressure from top of the company. But now I think it's going to be something that like all these employees at the bottom of the company are like, wait, this actually really benefits us. Paired with the idea that now like Gen Z is coming into the job world and we've always been creating content since day one. So it's like just a natural muscle for us to like go and create content. So I'm sure you're kind of thinking along the sidelines. You're a creator. You've seen a lot of benefit from your content creation, but would love to hear your thoughts too here.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. There's one thing I want to like double click on there. You mentioned like the traditional way is like top down from these larger companies saying, we'd like you to post about us maybe when we have an announcement that we want to do or whatever. And maybe you'll get like a company Slack go around saying, we've just launched this press release. Please share it on socials. This is like the traditional blueprint that you'll see. And I think even that is going above and beyond what most companies do. Most companies aren't thinking about how to leverage their employees' social medias. Um, but you said these employees who are creating on social are potentially going to be attractive then to other companies to hire them. And I think this is the big like fear point that companies need to get over. And I don't know how they do it. Like picture this. You're a fast growing startup, you've got 100 employees and you create a policy where you're encouraging and educating your employees to go out and create content on LinkedIn and create content about their subject matter experts. So your salespeople are creating content about sales, your marketing people are creating content about marketing. And of course, they're going to be speaking about you at some point. What happens when all of those people get headhunted for other companies? That is the fear. But I really don't think it's as big a problem as you think. I think if you encourage your employees to create content, better themselves, build up their own personal brand, these employees are going to be forever indebted to you. They're going to talk about you. If they do move on, they're always going to speak of you in like the most high way. They're going to recommend other people to come and work for you. And you're going to create like an army of ambassadors for your company because you have given them an opportunity that's not like free pizza Fridays or like, an extra vacation day. You're actually giving them a opportunity and an emphasis and encouragement to go and create themselves an asset. And I just think that's a
Okay.
fantastic in the very, very, again, it's a long-term thing. There's this initial fear, but in the long term, it's only going to help you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's like when the first thought that comes to mind, it's like, oh, what if they leave? But
Mm.
I think the underlying value is, oh my gosh, like 100-fold. It's more people know about your company. So therefore people like will start coming to your company and like wanting to be like, okay, I love your product. I hear about your product. Can I start working for you? More customers are going to hear about it. Like I can see how it's like a short-term fear, but the long term is like just extremely valuable. Would love to hear your thoughts here. So right now, what's the biggest opportunities for content creation, whether you're a brand or you're a creator? Would you just say create content on LinkedIn? But like, what's a little bit more specific? Like, is there any formats you're seeing working? Is there any like types of collabs? Like, what's like, do you think is like working the best right now and like will continue to work really well this year?
If we're looking at converting interest and attention into leads and potentially customers, the strategy that I think is the best right now is using the unique data that your company has to create lead magnet reports that other companies can't create. HubSpot do this the best. Like their state of marketing report that they launch every year is like such a huge splash, and they create loads and loads of attention. But there are like niche examples of people doing this. You know, if you have a company in like a particular niche, and you can leverage Q&As with your customer to find like unique insights that you can't get from searching, from Perplexity, from these tools, and you can wrap that in like an amazing resource. If you put that out on the internet, people are going to give you their emails and even more fields of information to get that resource. This is becoming more and more popular. I've seen Canva just do one. Obviously, HubSpot are doing them all the time. Loads of other people are creating these resources. And I think it's the best play at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Super good play. I was gonna ask you, I have this take that right now, obviously HubSpot has bought up Hustle, has bought up Mindstream. I think that these companies across B2B right now are buying up like the big players and partnering with the big players very similarly to 10 years ago when B2C was only partnering with like the Kylie Jenners of the world, like the big iconic people in the industry. But I think eventually some of these dollars in B2B, there's a lot of money in B2B. It's like one of the most like rich industries in the world. I think some of these dollars are going to start trickle down the flow of not just partnering with these big ones, but starting to partner with like more of the micro communities, the micro creators, even down to like the nano creators. I think one of the biggest things we're going to see this year is the rise of people leveraging more like CMOs with small audiences, but really powerful ones, or like CTOs with smaller audiences, or say head of sales directors. Like, I think we're going to see this like flow of money, very similar to how we saw this flow of money of B2C from like large people creators down to like these nano ones that have really great audiences. Would love to hear kind of your thoughts here. If you're seeing or predicting something similar happening, and then on the same note, how you're like advising these maybe smaller community creators or just smaller communities in general, newsletters to kind of prepare themselves for this opportunity.
Mhm. I agree. I think it's a huge opportunity. I've seen myself as I've grown from like 10,000 followers to having like 170,000 followers, and the like amount you can charge for a brand partnership doesn't scale linearly. You know, if I was charging X amount of dollars for 10,000 followers, you don't times it by 17 to get 170. So what that means is that you can get brands aren't getting as much value from bigger creators as they are from smaller creators. Somebody with 170,000 followers on LinkedIn, because of how algorithm based the platform is, they're not getting 17 times the amount of views as someone with 10,000 followers. The people who can create the better content and the people who are like jumping on the trends and the people who have real trust for their audience, they're the ones who are making the most important impressions and views. So I truly agree with you there. I think the huge opportunity though isn't for those kind of small creators with like 5, 10,000 followers to go out and find those brand partnerships. It's for someone to create the right way of reaching those. So if you're a brand and you want to work with a bunch of small creators, who is the person in the middle that is going to connect you with 50 creators that are aligned with your brand, aligned with your message, and are going to get your message out? There's a couple of platforms. There's Passion Fruit, there's Limelight, who are trying to do this. But I think that there is still a huge opportunity in that space for people to go and really connect those micro influencers with those larger B2B brands.
Yeah, yeah, completely agree. We're actually building this right now. So it's fun
Oh
to
yeah.
hear you say that because that's literally what we're building right now in the background, the whole technology to make this happen. So really focusing on these micro, like a CMO with like a powerful audience. Like I think I'm not really, this might not in the video on YouTube, but there's been so many partnerships that like I've done, you've done, like just these creators have, and they're great. Like we're going out there, we're building these amazing partnerships, but I just think there's so much value. I think LinkedIn is so unique. It's the fact that it's the only social media platform, but it's like Johnny CMO or Julie head of sales, like at XYZ company. And there's no other social media platform that has name actually tied to a role in the company.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
role in that company is like all your credibility to the max. Like
Yeah.
the name
Yeah.
is something, but the company is where all the credits. Like you click on a
Mhm.
person and you go straight to look at their company. And so I think we haven't seen brand partnerships, like you said, really start to tap into just these people that just don't have a name, but it's like actually the companies that give the cred. And so we're like, we have to go out and build something like this that's like going to help people actually partner with these people that have like real cred in this like B2B industry. Like
Yeah.
it's not just that we have the built audiences that like some of us have gone out and created content, which is amazing. There's so much you can do once you've built an audience, including build a company. But these people already have these like really, really powerful audiences. And it's like that right now, I think is like the big tsunami wave that's coming with like partnerships to come. And
Mhm.
I think there's so many cool ways you can like leverage out these people, whether it's like, sure, you could have a CMO get on camera and talk about it on video, but you could have them come to your event and talk on stage and also do a partnership and have them post about it. Like there's just so many cool ways that they can partner with these people in the next year. And I think that's just definitely just about to erupt.
I think you're probably already well aware of this, but I think problem one is identifying the people. That's something that your company needs to solve, to go and present to the company that wants the brand sponsorships and say, here are all the people that we've identified as something for you. The next thing, and I think the key thing, is finding a way to communicate to these micro influencers, that makes the content creation process easy for them. I think what you'll have found and what I'll have found, like what a lot of brands do is they come to you and they go, just go out and create content, which I think is the right way to do it with people who are experienced content creators. But these like smaller influencers who've maybe not done brand sponsorships before, who maybe just kind of sharing their thoughts on the internet, if you give them like blueprints and frameworks of how to create content that converts, then it creates that like smooth process of identify, give them a process, have them execute, and then secure results for the company.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally agree. The people I work with to help create content with my marketing agency are people who are like, okay, I need to create content, but I just don't know how to do it. Like these people have so much knowledge, and it's like getting them on camera and being like, okay, let's just redo the hook like this a little bit because that's kind of boring, but like let's do this instead. And so I love the idea of giving them the frameworks. And I think what is so cool is I think AI obviously helps make this happen so much better. I love it's such a balance because you want to give people the freedom to
Mhm.
go out and create. Like that's what does well. But I think nowadays it is so easy to use AI to come up with like, okay, here's your audience, here's your position, here's our product. Here is like just like a bulleted script or like a bulleted thing that like we're kind of envisioning that gives like a nice framework where they can kind of play and go off of. And I think that is also going to be especially like a great way to leverage people who are not as great with content creation, but have this like crazy audience is maybe a little bit more defined strategy and like you said, defined framework. But AI is like making this in the
Mhm.
past, like if you were to ask a brand to go out and make like defined like framework and strategy for each person they're trying to partner with, oh my gosh, like it would take a million years, but now you could do it in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
And so I love that. I think that's just
yeah.
fantastic.
I think you are one of the very best at creating video content to promote a company authentically. Like so often your videos will come up, I'll click watch in, I'll just be like, okay, she's talking about a process or a problem or a thing or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is a brand sponsorship. And it's like, it takes like 30, 40 seconds before I realize, whereas kind of 90% of them, you sniff them out within like 2, 3 seconds of the hook being rolled. So I think, yeah, I take a lot of inspiration from the way you go with the way you
Thanks.
think about
Thanks. It means a lot. Like whenever I'm going to create a post or create some sort of scripting or anything, the first thing I always say is like, okay, this is like a collaboration with the brand, but I don't
it.
care. Like, how can I make this video and this script like actually entertaining and educational to my viewer? I think that is like the biggest thing. It's like, sure, brand partnership, who cares? The brand only cares that it's like interesting and educational
Yeah.
as well. Because if it's not interesting and educational, then no one's watching. Like literally
Mhm.
no one. It's like, so I think whether you're creating a brand partnership or you're just creating content, like always having that, like, the person watching, like, are they getting something out of it? Are they learning? Are they being entertained, or else they're just gonna scroll away? And so I think that's just, as you know, like, you create amazing content too. I've been following your content now for over a year. It's like always having that be just the heart of it. And if you do, and you listen to people people like, and you find what videos do well, and you do more of those, like, just the blueprint right there.
I'd love to double click on your like sort of process of creating a video. Obviously, you are the video for LinkedIn creator. You were shouting about this like a year ago when nobody thought it was a big deal. Everything you predicted came true. You're pumping out like a video every day and have been for a year. When you sit down, I'd love you to walk through me from like sitting down, right, I got to make a video. What's your process?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like I've been switching it up a little bit too. I've wanted to make them a little bit more like interesting and engaging. I think I get bored of whatever I'm doing, so I'm like, the world probably is too, which is not true. Always like have your strategies and
Mhm.
your topics and stick to it. Like anything you talk about consistently, you're like, oh, I've already talked about that. No, like keep talking about it because your audience still needs to hear it time and time again. But for me to sit down and create a video, I it's just kind of it's a pretty like distinct process. I have like my topics and my pillars that I talk about on LinkedIn. I love to talk about marketing. I love to talk about business. I love to talk about tech, kind of the future of it. I'm just super interested on like what's next, like what's coming, like what can we look back in the past and be like, okay, I can see like how this correlates to like what's going to come ahead. And so I always kind of play under this realm. I think it's important for everyone to have these pillars that they play in, and there's a lot of like cool things you can come up inside of it, but it's easy to be able to be like, okay, this video I want to do like a marketing video, I want to do a business one, I want to do a tech one, and I want them all like very future focused. And sometimes I'll
Mhm.
integrate like a brand partnership into it. And I always like to come up with the hook, the beginning of the video first. I think that's super important. Like, how am I going to be able to capture the audience's attention in that first little bit and be able to kind of hit it right ahead about like how you're gonna like learn from this video, or like what's this video about? And then being able to then kind of create with some like bullet pointed script. I try to never really have like a really fully scripted video. I like more bullet points. I think it creates more of a natural delivery. But basically creating out like a bulleted script that's like about a minute long. Sometimes I'd make them 30 seconds. Sometimes they end up being a minute and a half. I had a video that was like 2.5 minutes last week that's like sitting at like 250,000 impressions and like rising very quickly right now. And so I really think it's like, as long as the video is engaging, it doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, being able to get on there, using AI to kind of help come up with a script that's like really on point, sitting down, making it just engaging, talking to the camera, maybe throwing in a brand partnership if it's something I want to do on that video. And then post production, I have a really awesome editing team that comes in, makes it engaging, fun. Then I always use the script slash the transcript on the video to make the copy, and then it's done. I've kind of gotten it down to an art, to be able to make videos every single day. But yeah, I grew up watching Casey Neistat. I don't know if
Yeah, yeah.
you've probably heard of him and stuff. And so the fact that he would make like 20-minute amazing vlogs. I don't know if you watched his daily vlogs back in the day, but I used to watch every single one. They were incredible. And so people are like, "Oh, you make a video every day." I'm like, like, these are nothing. These are nothing compared to like Casey Neistat's like daily vlogs that he would work all day
Yeah.
and spend all night doing and stuff. So yeah, I feel like I've watched the greats, nowhere near the greats, but it's kind of fun to take inspiration. But yeah.
I'd love to double click on the bullet point sort of script you're using, because I've tried it's essentially cue cards, right? So you have like, you structure out the video into 7 or 8 bits, almost like if you're thinking of like chapters of a story, and then you can give yourself almost cues to go and record those things. And it's like, okay, look over there, what's the cue? Click record, hit that reel. I've tried that. I've also tried using a teleprompter and like fully writing out a script, which I think you almost have more, if you do it that way, you have more control, because you can like, you're going to say word for word exactly what you're trying to say. Sometimes I think you can lose a little bit of like the natural taste or the natural flair there. But I think sometimes that natural flair and natural taste can like almost derail from like the flow of the video you want. You've like, I want to have the hook as 3 seconds and then jump onto this and jump onto that. Sometimes if you're not kind of programming it down to the word, you can get a little bit lost. Have you tried both of those ways, and how did you end up finding that bullet points?
I'll tell you basically the two format of videos that I've seen work the best right now. There's the longer form chatting and the short form powerful word for word. The short form powerful word for word is like a 25-second script, which is literally like where each word is like thought out and scripted and amazing. And I'll basically like have it on my screen, and I'll like kind of digest the word, the sentence or two, understand it, look away from the script because no one likes to see someone reading a script, and I'll just deliver the amazing sentence or 2 sentences, and I'll come back, and that's like, there's like 4 sentences or 6 sentences within a 20-second video. It's super short. So that's the one where it's like, it's so short that each word matters so extremely much that it's like more of this like interesting, engaging, touching on a really big point. Short video, fully scripted, never look at the script, just like you kind of do sentence by sentence and you like say it to the camera. So those do well because like short and to the point, people are like, oh, that's interesting. And there's like some cool editing. The other type of video is like the one that blew up last week where it's 2.5 minutes long. It's like the strategy I came up with of like how to like really get a job nowadays, that I actually like gave this strategy out to a couple different people. So I knew like the back of my hand, these topics people know like the back of their hand. Is like your company's playbook or like your vision ahead, like people know this stuff. And so it's really where I got on camera, still had my hook like down to the word of exactly how I wanted to say it. So I did the hook, but then the rest of it was simply like just like talking through it. Usually these longer ones, I like to do like a 3 bullet point thing, so when people know the vision of where this video is going. It's 2.5 minutes. They know that there's like, these are the 3 big points right here. They know you're taking in a journey of 3 points, not just like getting lost, or you're not getting lost. And this is where you're just like literally telling a story and just giving a whole lot of value. And it's not scripted. It's just really chatting. It's giving some nuances, like giving some people-ish like vibe. It's like just kind of showing your personality. And so I think like you can kind of go 2 different ways. But you don't want to go super, super scripted if it's long, because that's boring. But you also, if it's super 20-second long video, it's hard to make it like not scripted because you want each word to matter so much. And so I do those 2 styles, and I think I've seen both of them work really, really well.
And do you think a creative who's looking to go out and kill video should focus on one, or do you think you need a mix of both of these styles?
Yeah. So the style that I do with all my clients is style 2, because I think style 2 is the most natural and it gives the most credibility. So style 1 is still amazing, but you have to be really good at like reading the line, narrowing down the script exactly, delivering it amazingly, having like the post editing and everything's awesome. But style 2 shows your human nature, shows that you're human, shows that you're normal, which people love to connect to a human on the screen. It shows you know your information and you know your industry and you know what you're talking about. And it's just like fun and engaging. Like I do style 2 with all of my clients because I think they're all such subject matter expertise in their industry. And it really just comes down to saying, no scripts, get those out of the way. Sure, we'll have like a great hook, Like we really like even get down to scripting that hook. Like even before we get on the call, we have all the hooks figured out for all the videos. But then the rest of it is like, please just talk to me as if I am your client and you're explaining your product, because that is all anyone wants to hear, is just like a engaging. Oh, this is like an engaging, an educational video. So I do all the longer-ish ones like with my clients, and those ones do great.
Love that. Couple of things I want to touch on. Firstly, there's like a third style of video that we haven't touched on, which I think really works for the same reasons that number 2 works, the ones you just talked about, is going and doing long form like we are right now, and then cutting it up. I think that works for the same reasons. It's very, very human. It's someone having a longer form conversation. And like the success of this format of content over the last 3 years, particularly on like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, I'm sure it's soon going to get bigger and bigger on LinkedIn, is pretty wild when you consider it. Like if you look at it at a fundamental way, if you said 10 years ago, if you said to me 10 years ago, people are going to go and sit for 3 hours and have a long form conversation, and then 30 seconds clips are going to be consumed like 100x more than the podcast itself across these formats. It's pretty wild. And I think the reasons that it work is because of this connection and authenticity that you're touching on.
Yeah, I love it. Yep. Third style video I do a lot I love doing podcasts. I started a podcast. My first podcast I started 3 years ago. It was about finance because I was in college studying finance, and then went to fintech, and then went to tech, and now it's like AI and everything. And I kind of host them so I've been doing podcasting now for a while. I think it is the biggest hack in the world to talk to like the coolest people. Like I started a podcast back when I was in college. My whole goal was just to make like really great connections to get a good job. Like that was the goal. And went out there and was able to get job offers off of my first podcast I ever did. And I think it's the biggest hack to like have amazing partnerships. And like you said, the content you can grab from these are the most engaging, the most natural. You can get amazing views off them, but then you also like make really good connection with whoever you're talking to across the screen. And so I love it. Yeah. Third style podcasting, I think, is just great. I'm not surprised there's so many like bringing it back to the top of the conversation. Like there's so many B2B companies that have gone out and like made podcasts where they talk internally with their teams, talk externally with other people, other thought leaders and stuff. I think it's brilliant. I think it is like, although it's marketing, it's a marketing motion, I think secretly podcasting is the best sales motion that any company can do.
I agree with you 100%. The other thing, when you were talking about the second video strategy, this sort of long form 2.5 minute talk, one of the points you made is the reason this works is you are having subject matter experts speaking about their expert subject matter. And I think that this is almost like the core of any good content creator. You know, we're both successful LinkedIn creators, and the reason we are is we create content around stuff that we love. And I really think this is the thing. If you're an aspiring LinkedIn creator, it's so tempting to look out there and look at what other people are doing and try and copy the most successful people. And this can work to an extent, but the way that you can like really get the magic and really build that trust is to just create content about what you love, and your tribe will find you. You're not that special that you are the only person who likes what you like. There's thousands of people that like you. So create content about what you know and what you like, and that's how you'll find authenticity.
Yeah. Across the web. Like nowadays you can create content about anything, and you can build up an audience. You can build up a community, and that community can turn into anything. And I think there is so much room right now on LinkedIn to like build up your community and whatever your subject matter expertise in. And then from there, the opportunities are just like huge. It's just like, it's a whole quote of like, how many times can you get up to bat? And that is like equivalent to how many times you're going to score. And the amount of times you get up to bat and post content, more touch points across the industry, which turn into like so many opportunities. So I love it. Yeah. Overall, amazing. Great conversation.
Amazing. So just one more thing I want to touch on. We talk about how like leverage and opportunity and all the stuff you'll get from LinkedIn. I'd like to just like quickly touch on what actually happened to me when I started creating on LinkedIn. So when we started Mindstream, we had no finance. We were working other jobs. And I said, I'm going to go and create content on LinkedIn, and that will create us opportunities. I didn't really know what it was, but I started creating content on LinkedIn and generated subscribers from Mindstream. And over the kind of year and a half I was building it, 15 to 20% of all of our newsletter subscribers came from LinkedIn. 30 to 40% of all of our revenue came from brand partnerships on LinkedIn. 100% of everybody that we hired for our team, we hired through LinkedIn. And more than 50% of our advertisement leads came from LinkedIn. The business would not have worked without all of that coming from LinkedIn. So that is an example of what this kind of leverage and these opportunities can be.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I've hired everyone I've hired from LinkedIn except my sister. I didn't hire her from LinkedIn. I already knew her. Like all of my leads come from LinkedIn, like
Yeah.
inbound, like
Yeah.
everything comes from LinkedIn. I think it's just such an underrated social media platform right now. I mean, good for us, like good for everyone creating on there right now. But I just
Yeah.
think like the brands, people, there's always like, when it comes to any social media website, there's always the early creators, which we're going past a little bit, just like the very, very early. And then the money comes in and then more people come. And I think it's kind of the year that kind of the money comes in to LinkedIn via just brands being like, okay, let's go out there and like leverage this. And then
Yeah.
when the money comes, everyone else comes as well. And I think this is kind of a big year. We're going to see that come to fruition. But yeah, that's the audience and the people on LinkedIn is so incredibly valuable. Every decision maker is scrolling on there. And they're not just scrolling on there as they're scrolling on like TikTok and Instagram. They come to LinkedIn and they're like, they have a certain mindset. They're like, I'm coming here to hire. I'm coming here to buy. I'm coming here to network. And so it's just such a powerful place for anyone to go out there and like build a company. I've seen such similar numbers on like the impact of mine. And so crazy.
Yeah. Insane. Love it.